Hey Stampers, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you this really fun card that has no white paper on it. Can you believe it? I saw this layout and I thought it would be really fun to make, but I thought instead of using white, or I honestly did think about using basic beige, I thought it would be fun to do a card that didn't have any extra white except for whatever white might have been on the paper. So this is the card I created. This uses the Friends of the Ocean DSP. Now I'm going to use a different piece for this today, but you're using two pieces that are the same. So this is Lemon Lime Twist, measures 4 by 5 1/4. This is the Friends of the Ocean DSP, measures 4 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to use Coastal Cabana. So this is a full sheet of cardstock in case you've never seen one, or maybe you might be new to card making, but you can either make 2 hot dog or 2 hamburgers. So bases, I should say. So this is what a hot dog looks like. So it'd be 2, I'm sorry, this is a hamburger. This is 2 wide cards, and then a hot dog would be 2 long and narrow cards. So if you score this, and I'll show you what I mean, if you score it on the long side at 4 1/4, and remember the light is the scoring, so you score it and then you rotate it 90 degrees and you line it up at 5 1/2, and you cut it, and you'll end up with 2 card bases. So you can see they're already scored. So 2 bases. So that's the easy part for this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 pieces of paper. We have cardstock and we have designer series paper. And what we're going to do, and I think I'm going to make sure I'm right, it's cutting that, yep, 2 1/2. So we're going to line this up. So this measures 4 inches. So you're going to line this up at 2 1/2. And you're going to cut it like that. And then you're going to do the same with this piece. You're going to line it up. So this is a 4-inch piece. So you're going to line it up at 2 1/2. And you're going to cut it. And that's it for that. So super simple. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these, will be the top for the front. So top for the front, and then use the bottom piece for the outside or the front of your card. And then you're going to use the opposite pieces for the inside of your card. So before we get too ahead of ourselves, we are going to stamp and decorate these. And I thought this would also be fun to do this as a tone on tone kind of stamping technique. So we're going to be using Lemon Lime Twist, and then I have just a little bit of something different with Coastal Cabana. So I am using 2 different stamp sets. The Sea Turtle we're using for the large starfish, and I think that's it. That's all we use for this one. Yeah. And then we're going to be using some parts of the Seaside Wishes stamp set. So we're going to make sure we have the part that has the detail facing up. And I'm going to grab a couple pieces out of here. We're going to use the large starfish. And we're going to use the, I guess these are stones. We don't really have a lot of stones here in Maryland. We have sand beaches, and it's crushed sand, so it's from the crunched up seashells. And we're also going to use the little dots. And I also put this, which one did we do on the inside? I think I'm fibbing. Yeah, actually I used a different stamp set. I forgot. Let me grab this one. And we're also going to be using this large, I call it a sand dollar skeleton because it's kind of like the frame part of it. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. So we're going to put that on the side. And then I have one other stamp set, which is Hope You Know. This is one of the newer ones I found online. We're going to be using the Hello Friend and You're the Sunshine That Brightens So Many Days. We're going to put these 2, pull them out. You can probably find this, if I'm not mistaken, in the online exclusives. I think that's where that is. Let's see if we can find a little smaller block for this. That looks good. Oh, it's a little crooked. Let's try that again. So we have all of these mounted, that way they're ready to go. So to do this, what I did is originally I stamped the Hello Friend and I stamped everything around, but you can do it the other way if you want. It depends on if you want to have this by itself or if you want to have the other stuff around it. Also, one other thing to note, when I made this card, I hadn't re-inked this with the ink refill. So it's definitely going to be much lighter. When I do it, it's going to look a lot darker. And then when I did the inside, I made a whoops and I actually stamped it in Coastal Cabana, but it ended up being cute. So that's what we're going to do today as well. So we're going to go ahead and open up our ink. And we're going to start with, let's see, let me just grab a little scrap here in case I go off, because I know I will. And we're going to start with our, oops, starfish. So we're just going to kind of stamp. You can see how much darker it is. Stamp the starfish in a couple random places. And then I'm going to do the stones. Same. So just bringing them in. Now I'm going to stamp these sometimes without re-inking, but you do want to be careful. So I don't know if you noticed this. This is a perfect example. I stamped here, but I didn't really get the ink off the bottom as much. So that's why they have this line of dark. You have light ink and dark. So you have to be careful when you're stamping something if you're coming off of a piece of cardstock that might be a little bit raised slightly, because you can get two different tones of ink. So that doesn't bother me, but I know some people would be bothered by it. So just keep that in mind when you're stamping, if you notice it. I'm going to do the Hello Friend in Coastal Cabana. And let's see if that looks... Yeah, this one I feel like it probably also needs to be re-inked a little bit, but I'm not going to do that right now. We'll do that later. Hopefully it'll be dark enough. That's pretty good. So, Hello Friend. And then we're going to do our inside piece. So again, remember our inside piece had the larger starfish and just the little dots. So I'm going to do my sentiment first. And then we'll add just a couple little, see if I can hopefully make this so, because the one I did my sample, it wasn't straight. That's probably straighter. And then I also did do one that was darker originally. So we'll just do this. Okay, and then I'm going to clean this off just because we are going in from two different shades of ink. So I'm just going to wipe this off with my towel, and then we'll go into our, ooh, whoopsie, drop that. Go into our lemon lime twist. Okay, so you have that, and then I have my just little dots, and I kind of just use those to fill in. And since these are kind of small, I did them every single time instead of stamping off. You could if you wanted to. You really won't see them quite as much because it is a fairly light color. But that's it. So let me move these out of the way. And then I'll show you what I did for the last part of the card. All we have to do is put this together now. So one thing, if you struggle with placing your paper onto a layer, one tip I will definitely suggest is to use liquid glue, because it gives you a little bit of extra flexibility. The other thing is I tend to kind of turn things sideways and I line them up before I stick them down. That way, if I need to move something or adjust something, or if I don't really like the way it is, so this one needs to come down just a little bit, I kind of pick which one is going to be the harder one to stick on. Now for me, this one will probably be more difficult to line up, and since this is bigger, I'm going to start with this piece first. So I'm going to put, and I am going to use liquid glue. I'm going to put liquid glue on the back. Liquid glue gives you just like an extra second to be able to adjust it, whereas if you have a tape runner, it does not give you quite as much time. So I'm going to try to make sure it's uniform-ish. Hopefully that's good, but also I feel like this little star skeleton over here kind of helps to take away from it just a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit more glue on this one. That way I have a little bit more wiggle room possibility. And I'm going to line it up where I want, but make sure I have the gap in between here. And then I feel like the gap on the bottom kind of follows naturally. So there's one. Now we have to do the inside, and I'm going to just do it the opposite. So I'm going to put this down first. I did notice when I cut this that I have a little ridge, so I'm just going to smooth this out with my bone folder. Sometimes if you cut a lot, which I do cut a lot of paper, you'll end up with a little ridge line on your paper that you cut. But if you just use your bone folder to smooth it out, kind of helps you. And we're just doing these opposite. So I didn't lay this down first. I'm just eyeballing it. And then this will be up here. And I didn't make my line quite as far down, but again, it's okay. I think someone would probably be happier to get a card than worry about whether or not I did my lining up perfectly. Looks good. Okay, and I'm just gonna fold this, crease this with my bone folder. You can do that ahead of time if you want, but since it was pretty straightforward, that's why I didn't. And then I felt like it needed something, so that's why I did this little piece here. So this actually is the Graceful Greenery Vellum, which is on the clearance rack. So it is, ironically, this. So I did a card with this before. It's really pretty. But there are also these two pieces that kind of have like a very nondescript, like a frosted-ish look. You might have remembered this card we made was really pretty. So I just put some adhesive sheet on the back and we use that. The other thing I might do is I may add a couple little, like a embellishment just to kind of jazz it up a little bit, because if you don't feel it's really fancy enough, you could always do that. So here is the rest of our paper. You can see I've used a lot of it. So I just put some adhesive sheet onto the back of it, and then it makes it into a sticker. So I'm just going to grab another little piece. This is just a little piece here. So what you do is you kind of eyeball it. You're going to trim it just approximately. So I'm going to just trim this with my not good scissors. You definitely want to make sure when you're cutting adhesive you don't use your good scissors. And I'm gonna take the backing off. This hat, it comes in a 6 by 12 piece, and sometimes depending on where you pull it versus others, it's just a little bit easier. This will be the longest part of the video because, once again, not wearing my glasses. So one of these sides is a release paper, and then this side is the part that has the sticky. So what you want to do, let me just move this out of the way, is you want to put your sticky side to the back. And with that vellum, it doesn't really matter. You could use either side. And sometimes I'll still end up with it on my fingers. This is always good too if you ever need to use something to hold it so you don't get ink on your fingers. But I always have ink on my fingers, so that's pretty much not going to ever happen, I don't think, with me. And then I'm going to put this on here, and we're going to run this through our die cutting machine. And it is really detailed, but it will cut it out really nicely. And then all you have to do is pull up the back. And the nice part is it's just like a sticker. So you just pop that through, and you can see comes out really cleanly. And this definitely has a nice shimmery side to it. The other side is a flatter side, so I put the sticker on the part that didn't have the detail. Hopefully you can see what I mean. So I have that, and I'm going to just take, this is just from my glue, and the nice part is there's a little slit there where the two parts were. But when you pull this out, the cool part is most of this stuff will come with it. So I'm just going to take this so I don't try to get most of it in here. So you're going to just pull off your sticker backing. There's one. You can see some of the stuff just popped right out. And that's the coolest part, I think, about when you use these, because most of the stuff just goes right along with it. You don't even have to worry about poking it. So I'm going to just pop out these couple pieces. Of course, you know, when you're doing stuff on camera, it never works that way. If I did 50 of them, the one time I do it on the video, it proves me wrong. But it really does help to get a lot of your stuff off. Okay, so then you have a little instant sticker, which is cool. So make sure we got all these little pieces. I'm just going to put this right here. Now, one thing is, it doesn't stick super well because this being this vellum unless you press it with your bone folder. So what I usually do is just really press it down with my bone folder. That way it adheres, which kind of also makes it disappear a little bit. So if you don't really necessarily like that part, maybe this isn't something that you would want to do. But the other thing you can do, let me just close up my glue before it seals itself shut. You can just add some little something or other. So I just have some of these little, I don't even know what these are, opal rounds. So I'm just going to pop a couple of these on there, and I'm just going to put them probably down here. So we'll just put just 3s. Things look nice in 3s, they say, but they have to be in 3s in like a triangular shape. So we'll go with a very obtuse triangle, I think that would be, if I remember my math correctly. So just depends which one you like better. Do you like it with or without the little, I think these kind of look like water droplets too. So I'm going to just go ahead and add these to my other card while I have it, because I think they're really cute. And that is it. The cool part about this, I think, is you could do this with absolutely any paper. I mean, really any paper would work, because you're just halving it. So you're using one piece and you're getting the inside and the outside all in one thing. You could use it for any type of a theme that you wanted to. If you didn't like this little skeleton here of the sea sand dollar, you could use something else. You could, because we do have lots of stuff in there. You could even put just like a little starfish that you cut out. You could run this through with the embossing folder and then add another layer to it. So really lots of different possibilities for it. But I think it's a really simple card. And also maybe, and here's the point that I was trying to make when I created this card, is that all I did for this was got the paper. And I just used stuff that I already had. So I had both of these, which I loved both of these stamp sets. This is a bundle. This is just a stamp set, but I used both of them just with the paper. So all I did was got myself some paper, and I liked it so much that I've used a lot of the paper. So you don't necessarily always have to buy everything. You could just get one little part of it, and that'll be something that you can make it new again with stuff that you already have. So if you guys would like the measurements for this, all of the stuff is going to be in the description of this video, which will take you to my blog, and it gives you the measurements. But it's a pretty simple card, just 4 by 5 1/4, and then you're cutting it at 2.5 inches, splitting it between the two for both pieces. I think this probably look really cute if you had also maybe the airplane paper or the fishing paper, if you still had it, if you wanted to make a guy card. And then instead of using this, use maybe a light blue. You could use balmy blue if you wanted to, or I think also this would make a really cool card using the basic beige. I wanted to call it blushing beige, but that is definitely not right. But pick something that contrasts. Bright cards are a lot of fun because they make people smile. Well, hopefully anyway. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, I would love for you to like, subscribe, follow, and share this with a friend. You can leave a comment. You can hit the like button there. All those things are completely free ways to support me. If you'd like to get any of the supplies, you can shop my online store 24/7. The links are below. And if you have any comments or questions, please make sure to leave them here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you have a great day.